Hey guys, just wanted to document my character's progress. There's a good chance that the game is going to drastically change when GGG comes back from their Christmas holiday and we get a flurry of balance patches. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that my first Path of Exile character was saved on the internet forever. Go over the gems quickly first. I have a lot of things slotted that I'm not actually using here. We're using Demon Form, of course, basis of the build. Second Wind means that, we're always able to have the Demon Form up. As soon as you come out of it, you can pop it again if you want. We have Hellhound, the Infernal Hound, which is our class ability. Just tanks a bit of damage for us. The aim of the game here is to keep this thing alive for as long as possible, or give it the facility to tank as much damage as possible. So Elemental Army for a bunch of resists, more maximum life from Meat Shield, and I think +1 to the level gives it more life. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's some other things we could put in the last two slots here. I've not really explored that too much. Flame Wall, I just have Fortress. I barely use Flame Wall. Sometimes I pop it when I'm popping open an expedition or something for a little bit of extra damage. Don't really need it though. Cast on Freeze. This is our main single target damage. So we have Comet, dumpstering our mana, and dealing fuck tons of damage. Impetus, so that it pops frequently enough that it doesn't feel like shit. Spell Echo, so it happens twice. Unbelievable. And Concentrated Effect here. You can swap this out. I feel like you don't need the damage you get from this. You could put Magnified Effect on there for loads more AoE. It's probably better for clearing. I just like one-shotting map bosses. Frostwall, again, deals loads of damage. We have Glaciation here, so more freeze build-up. We have Lightning Exposure, which is important because the majority of our damage is lightning, so this helps reduce enemy resists below negative, which is nice. Spell Cascade spawns a bunch of frost walls, so it's giving you more coverage, more frost walls to burst, which deal more damage. And Icicle, which makes them burst easier with Spark. They burst more consistently and faster. Fireball I'm not using anymore. Grim Feast for energy shield recovery. No supports on that. Fairly standard Spark setup. Inspiration, less cost. Arcane Tempo, more cast speed. Persistence. This is an interesting gem to use, but it's so that the sparks can bounce around for longer, potentially finding their target a little bit easier, and considered casting for more damage. Downside of that's not that big a deal. We got loads of cast speed from the Ascendancy and the tree anyway. Archmage, backbone of the damage, Lightning Mastery, +1, makes it consume less mana per cast. And Orb of Storms, very much like Flame Wall, barely need to use it. It's there for some extra damage if you want. I've got Arcane Surge on here. It never pops. I think I originally had that on Spark or something, and I've just been moving it around because I like having it. It feels nice, but it really needs to be on Frostwall or Spark for it to happen consistently. So the way this build works, the way it deals damage, put up your Frostwall, you put it on top of the mobs.
Time to consume.
Go to Demon Form for realism. Put up your Frostwall on top of the mobs, Spark into it. The Spark deals a bunch of damage, goes right through the Frostwall, starts hurting the enemies. The Frostwall starts bursting, deals a load of flat damage, and then freezes them, which then pops the cast on freeze Comet. Killing stuff from behind the frost walls super safe. Defenses wise, I've seen a lot of Demon Flame Infernalists struggling to get their defenses up because they're so heavily focused on sustaining their Demon Flame here. The big deal for me was making sure there's enough flat damage in the build so that it feels good even when you have one Demon Flame stack for mapping. We have capped resists, so 80 fire, I've managed to push that up with jewels still. 76 cold, 76 lightning, 74 chaos, 5000 energy shield, which gets doubled through Grim Feast. So long as you're not taking loads of damage right at the start of the map, you can build that up really quickly, and then you're just running around with 10k max hit for the whole map, which is really nice. The way we're producing our energy shield pool, because I am using Archmage, right, which means we want to stack mana, which means I'm absolutely using Eldritch Battery, converts all energy shield to mana. It's a kind of bullshit statement, because we obviously have energy shield. It's the way it's calculated with Ghost Drive. This is converting your maximum health to energy shield. So this calculation happens after all of the flat energy shield from your gear is turned into mana. You then get a percentage of your life as energy shield, which can then be scaled with loads of energy shield nodes on the tree to your satisfaction. You can take as many of these as you can find, essentially, to get this this pool up here. Sort of invisible defenses, or defenses that, you know, they're not just a number on the screen here.
Feast on flesh!
Freezing shit is an insane defense. It just stops all incoming damage from the frozen mobs, allows you to reposition, you know, it slows everything down to such a manageable rate. We have the projectile block from Frostwall, so incoming proj from mobs just fucking hit the frost wall. Our spark goes through the frost wall. It's a bit unfair. We have the Infernal Hound here as well, this dude tanking 20% of our incoming damage. And since starting to use Spark a couple of days ago, I've noticed it's like micro stunning enemies as well. It's like there's a little electrocution animation there that seems to stutter them a little bit. Offense wise, we have a lot of flat damage compared to all the Demon Flame builds that I've seen being played. Archmage and mana stacking obviously gives us loads of damage. With over 3000 mana, it's 210% of the spell's damage as lightning on top of the spell's damage. And from our Demon Flame stacks, which I can regularly get to 120 plus, that's like 2160% increased spell damage, which is insane. It's like more than you can get from every spell damage node on the passive tree, assuming you could somehow click them all. We then also have nodes like Pure Power, which is giving us scalable lightning damage through stacking intelligence, and Arcane Intensity, which is scaling spell damage per 100 mana. We use this node here, Heavy Frost. This is great. This means don't really need to run a curse for mapping at all. It's giving us freeze buildup, which is really nice. Need a ton of freeze buildup to be able to consistently freeze and proc our Comet. But hits ignore non-negative elemental resistances of frozen enemies. So that's not just hits from cold skills, that's hits from Spark as well. And yeah, it just means everything that we're fighting either has zero resistances or it has negative resistances through the lightning exposure being applied through the frost wall. I've seen my Comet tooltip damage hitting over 1 million. I haven't seen a rare mob in the game that it fails to one shot. Gear wise, we have helmet's nice. You can corrupt a helm to get this implicit, the plus spirit implicit. The aim of the game really is to get increased mana and life regeneration on every piece of gear that we can. So we've got a little bit of life regen here. This could be better. There's some rarity on it. There's no max mana on it. I think this cost, I don't know, like 20 or 30 exalted orbs when I got it. It's got shit tons of energy shield, though it might have been a total steal for the price I paid for it. I've not looked at the market since I got it. Amulet, I've anointed full recovery because it's both mana and life regen. By having loads of life regen, we can sustain our demon flame for longer, and mana regen just feels good because we're spending an awful lot of mana whenever comets spam proccing. So we've got increased energy shield, a ton of spirit here. You need both the spirit on this and the spirit on this to be able to run the 3 auras that I'm running. So it limits your choice of helmet and it limits your choice of amulet. I managed to get a bunch of life regeneration on here. Obviously, plus to all skills would be amazing. You know, you could get more life regeneration. There's a bunch of offensive stats you could get, but I have qualityed these to have more mana to hit the 3k mark right here. Same with the rings. These are kind of trash. I mean, there's a lot of dead stats on here for me. Yeah, 1/3 of them don't really do anything. The life regen could be a little bit better. Again, I think this was like 10 to 20 EX when I bought it. Again, qualityed for mana. Same on this one. This one doesn't even have mana on it. This should have mana on it. I don't have that. Gloves. I was able to switch these recently by switching to Spark instead of using Fireball and converting that to Cold with the unique gloves. So I use these to patch up some resists, give me a bunch more mana. These unfortunately have life on them. You do not want max life on this build. The lower your maximum HP pool is, the easier it is to counter Demon Flame's degen with regen. Demon Flame costs a percentage of your max HP, which means the smaller the maximum HP number is, the less flat you need to counter it. Flat regen. The belt, yep, mana, life regen, some resists, randomly some armor. Strength's bad as well, that's giving me hit points, which I don't want. Slippers, I just bought these tonight. I was dashing about with 10% movement speed shoes, and they didn't have mana on them, so I bought a pair with 20% movement speed and mana. They've got a decent chunk of life regen on them too. Your shield and your wand don't matter at all. They do nothing in demon form. I actually gave away the wand I was using to a friend, and he gave me his old one. These are pointless. And Ghost Wraith, amazing piece of gear. I've been wearing a Ghost Wraith since the very start of my playthrough, like Act 2 or something. And this one is corrupted so that the max life converted to energy shield is higher than the normal max. It can go up another 1%, I believe. I paid a divine for this, but for the longest time I was using one that was 55-56% max life converted to energy shield, and it was fine. You know, it means that you have a slightly more difficult time maintaining your demon flame, and you have slightly less ES protecting your character. But that's pretty much the build. Feel free to ask me any questions you want. I'm gonna post this in the Facebook group. I'm always in the Path of Exile one, so hit me up if you want to know anything or you want to try and make the build. I've probably got a bunch of gear you could use. Cheers.